Okay, here we go with the practice for graphing um, equations. Okay, so I've kind of broken up these, oh my gosh, my brain, guys, you know how it is. Okay, I've kind of broken up these practice problems kind of like the notes were, so we're going to be going through each one of those different scenarios, and we'll just have a couple of graphs to practice on. Okay, so the first one we're going to be looking at is when they give us the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so we're just going to take those two things and we're just going to plug it into that slope intercept formula that we talked about. Okay, this is a very important formula that you need to remember. You're going to see it again and again as you continue on in Algebra 2 and Algebra 3 and all of that good stuff. It's so important that you know how to take the information that you're given and to form a line with it. Okay, so this first little section is real easy because it gives us the slope and it gives us the y-intercept. So we just have to take it and put it into that equation. We know the slope is always the number that's paired with our x, and then we have our y-intercept that stands on its own. Okay, so we know that we always graph the y-intercept first because that gives us a starting point. Okay, so it's going, this line that we're about to draw is going to be crossing through my y-axis because that is my y-intercept. It's going to be crossing through my y-axis at -3. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that point right there. Okay, then I'm going to change my color. And then my slope is 1/2. Okay, so that tells me I'm going to rise. I'm going to rise 1. And I'm going to run 2. Okay, hold on one second, guys. My computer is about to die. Let me pause this video real quick. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that tells me I'm going to rise 1 and I'm going to run 2. Okay, so I'm going to start at that y-intercept. I'm going to rise up 1 and go up 1, and then I'm going to run to the right 2. It's always to the right. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. I ran out of graph. Okay, now if going that way and it may cut off immediately or whatever, you can always go the opposite way. I can go down 1 to the left 2. Down 1 to the left 2 if I want to make my line as long as I possibly can. Okay, so then you're just going to want to take all those dots and connect those through. Just like that. Okay, and that line will go on forever and ever in both directions. Now, let's look at the next one. It tells us that our slope is -3/4 and our y-intercept is 2. So we're going to take that and we're going to plug it into our formula. So our slope is always the number that goes with my x, and then my y-intercept stands on its own. Okay, so my y-intercept is a +2 this time. So I'm going to go to my y-axis and I'm going to go up +2 right there. All right, this time my slope is a -3/4, -3/4. Okay, so this top number tells me whether I go up and down or down. Okay, that's the rise like we talked about over here. And this bottom number over here tells us how much we're going to run or how much we go to the right or to the left. Okay, so I'm going to go down 3 first. You always do this, whatever the sign is with that top number. Okay, so I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go to the right 4, always to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and like I was talking about in that last one, see, if we did that again, we would run out of graph. So if you wanted to, just so you can get the most accurate line, you could go the opposite way. We could go up 3, and this time we wouldn't go to the right 4 because that would not form a line. Okay, this time we go to the left 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so then you just take a line like that and go through all of those points. Okay, so that is how you do it if you're given the slope and the y-intercept. So now let's do it if your slope or your oh my goodness, if your slope or your y-intercept is 0. Okay, same thing. We're just going to take it and we're going to plug it into our equation. Okay, so we have y equals, our slope is -2, so it's going to be -2x. And then our y-intercept is 0, so it's going to be crossing through the y-axis at 0. But we don't have to put that into our equation because it's just 0. So if you get an equation that is just a number with x, then you know that it's going to go through the 0 point or it's going to go through the origin. Okay, so that's your y-intercept. All right, and then our slope is going to be -2. Okay, so again, if we have a whole number like that -2, it's understood to be over 1. Okay, so that negative tells us we're going to go down 2, and then that 1 tells us we're going to go to the right 1. Okay, down 2 over 1. Okay, and if I went down 2 again, I'd run out of graph. So just like I said earlier, we could go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. All right, and then we have our line. And just connect all the little points. Okay. All right, next one. This time we're not given a slope, but we are given the y-intercept. So I'm going to start off by saying y equals 0x plus 3. Just like in our notes, if you have 0x, you don't have to put that, okay? You can just easily write y equals 3, okay? So that tells me that my y-intercept, or where my graph crosses the y-axis, is going to be at +3. All right, since the slope is 0, that means it's not going to rise or run, okay? So therefore, we are just going to have a straight line through that point. Okay, just like that. And then we just know that it's understood to be going forever and ever in both directions. All right, let's look at the next one. Okay, so this will be how you have it the majority of the time. This form that is in right here, when it's not solved for y, this is called standard form. Okay, so if it ever says something like take it from standard form to slope intercept form, it's just wanting you to solve it for y. Hold on one second. Okay, so we're going to take this equation and we're going to solve it for y. So that means we got to get all of this other stuff to the other side of my equal sign. Okay, so I always start with the term that is farthest away from my y. So I'm going to get rid of that 2x. All right, so I have 3y equals -2x plus 6. Now, just like in our notes, if you wrote 6 minus 2x, that's fine too. All right, then I have to get rid of that 3. So those 3's cancel. And then I have -2x divided by 3, so I'm just going to leave it as -2/3 x. Okay, because if we're dealing with slope, we like to keep it as a fraction. That way we can see what the rise is and we can see what the run is. All right, and then I have 6 divided by 3. Well, we can go ahead and simplify that because that's going to be that point on the y-axis that we need to know. So 6 divided by 3 would just be a +2. Okay, so now we know that the number paired with my x is going to be my slope, and we know that the number by itself is going to be my y-intercept. Okay, so we can go ahead and start with a y-intercept. That's going to be a +2, and then the slope is going to be a -2. So that means we go down 2 over 3. Down 2 over 3, we go off. Okay, you don't usually want to do it with just 2 points. You can, but your most accurate will be if you have 3 points. So you can go up 2 to the left 3. Okay, so then you can just get a line. Get a ruler, whatever, do your best to just make a line. Okay, all right, last one like this. again, we need to solve it for y. So we've got to move all this other stuff to the other side of my equal sign. Okay, so I'm going to start by subtracting off my 5x. This one's probably not going to come out as even. All right, I'm left with 4y equals, this time I'll change it up, 8 minus 5x, so you can see it both ways. Okay, so then I'm going to divide by 4. Divide by 4, those cancel. I'm left with y equals a positive 8 divided by a positive 4 is going to be 2. And then we know that number with my x is going to be my slope. So it's okay if we leave that as a fraction. So a negative 5 divided by 4, we can just say is going to be negative 5/4 x. Okay? We're going to get a weird decimal if we change that, if we divide that out. Okay? We just like to leave slope as a fraction. So you might want to make a little note of that over here. Leave slope as a fraction. Okay? So now we can just take it and we can graph. Okay? So that number by itself is my y-intercept. And then the number with my x, that's a negative 5/4, is my slope. Okay, let's start with my y-intercept. It's a positive 2. Right? Then I've got negative 5/4, so I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? If I wanted to go the other way, I'd go up 5 over 4, but once again, that would run off. So if you have to have 2 points, it's okay, but the most accurate line has 3 points. Okay, so you can just do your best here and go through both lines. So it would look something like that. Make that one purple, who cares? Okay, so, and then you just want to make it known that that line doesn't just stop right at that point. It goes on forever and ever in both directions. All right. And the last way is if you're just given the graph, okay? So this is where you really have to know what you're doing with the line, okay? So the two things you need to put it in slope-intercept form is you are going to need the slope, which is m, and you're going to need the y-intercept, which is b. Well, the easiest point to find is the y-intercept because you just see where the graph is crossing through the y-axis, okay? So that point is going right there. It's going through positive 1. All right, and again, for the slope, I like to find all the points that are going through specific points on my graph. So it goes there. Okay, so we want to find all those points that go through those actual crossings on our line. Okay, and so then we want to find that rise and run, how much it goes up and then how much it goes over. Okay, so I can see this one's going up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Okay, so it's going up 1 over 2, so the slope would be 1/2. All right, so we could just take that all and put it into our formula, and that is what we would get. All right, next one, we want our slope and we want our y-intercept. Okay, so again, I'm going to start with where it crosses through the y-axis. Right here, it goes through negative 1. All right, and then I'm going to try to find all of those points that it is crossing through again. Looks like right there, right there, right there, right there. All right, so this time it's going down 2 over 2, down 2 over 2, down 2 over 2. Okay, so that would be, or you could just say down, if it's down 2 over 2, that's negative 2, 2, which would just be negative 1, because that could simplify. All right, so it looks like those are actually going through all of these little points everywhere. All right, so that would be y equals negative 1x minus 1. And the last one, once again, we're going to need the slope. We're going to need the y-intercept. All right, so the y-intercept is going through this point right here, which is negative 3. All right, and then the slope looks like it's going there, there, the y-intercept, there, and right there. So again, we can see this one has a negative slope, so it's going down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right, down 1 to the right. Okay, so since it's a negative slope, it's going to be negative 1 over 2. All right, so that would be y equals negative 1/2 x minus 3. All right, hope that was helpful. Again, if you need any more help, just send me an email. We could do a Zoom. We could get some more problems like this and work through them. All right, see y'all guys later.